title. So I've been asked to speak on the emergence of a damsel. Thank God I'm a damsel. So the conversation is not going to be too awkward, right? I'm a damsel, so I'm going to speak from a damsel's perspective, and I'm going to try as much as possible to share one or two things that have helped me on my journey, with the goal and the intention to support as much people as possible on their journey of value creation, or on their journey of emergence. I decided to add a subtitle, and I called it The Journey to Becoming. My name is Maureen Oluwatobi. I'm a teacher, and because I teach, I love definitions, because I believe definitions give us a foundation and a base, right, to launch into the other things we want to do or the other things we want to say. So whenever I'm given a topic to speak on, I love definitions. So who is a damsel? If we are talking about the emergence of a damsel, who is a damsel? I actually had to do a Google search to be sure that my definition of who a damsel is in line with what the world believes a damsel is. So on Google, I saw that a damsel is simply a young and an unmarried woman. I saw that definition and I smiled. I'm like, okay, but because I am married, I am going to allow myself be called a damsel. So I'm also going to say that a damsel is a young, married or unmarried woman. The next definition I want to look into is emergence. Emergence is the process of becoming visible after being concealed or hidden. Hidden either for a period of time because you were in the stage of development, hidden because you have not finished forming, hidden because that's not been your time to emerge, right? But once you get into the stage of emergence, that's become a stage where, yes, in as much as you've been invisible for a very long time, emergence is the time where that person that has been hidden or concealed is made visible for everybody to see them. As we journey in life, we're going to get to a point where we are going to be invisible for a period of time, and then we grow, we mature, we transform. And once we have grown, once we have matured, the next thing that is required is that we must become visible. We are becoming visible because people have to now know that this person exists upon the face of the earth. So emergence is the process of becoming visible after being concealed or hidden. I believe that the purpose of this conversation is to give women an opportunity to recognize that now it's time for them to emerge. For many people, we have been in the back room working on ourselves, developing ourselves, wanting to ensure that we dot all of the I's and cross all of the T's. While that is good, it's also important for every one of us to recognize when the time to emerge has become, or when the time to emerge has become a reality. So now is the time for emergence. If you're a woman, if you're also a man who is listening to me right now, this is the time to emerge. And we are emerging because we carry value, we carry solutions that the world is waiting for each and every one of us to showcase to them. So in this conversation, we are going to cover 4 major concepts that I would want us to look into in our journey to becoming. There are 4 major things that we are going to cover. And number 1 is called the myth. Number 2, the who. Number 3, the what. And number 4, the how. I'm going to go into them one after the other. I just wanted to show you how our journey is going to proceed this evening. The essence of this conversation is that each and every one of us is going to become that person that has to emerge. The time to emerge is now. The time to showcase your value, your awesomeness is now. So it's important that you embark on that journey. So these things we are going to cover today are some of the things that we have to deal with on our journey to becoming, or on our journey to emerging. So let's talk about some of the myths that have held down a lot of women, held down a lot of damsels, and unfortunately held down some men too, right? And limited these people not to emerge or not to showcase the value that they are. One of the myth that has limited a lot of people, that is still limiting a lot of people and stopping them from actually emerging, is an average damsel believe that they are an afterthought, right? So the first myth I would want us to break this evening is that of the afterthought. For those of us who are Christians, who are believers, when you check the Bible, you're going to discover that in the original plan of God for our lives, in the original design that God had for humanity, women were part of the plan from the very beginning. When God was talking about let us make man in their image and in their likeness, right? Women were part of the plan from the very beginning. So if one of the limiting mindset that has stopped you from becoming or emerging is that thought of you being an afterthought, I'm here to break it. I'm here to let you know that you are not an afterthought. You were pre-planned from the very beginning, from the first design of humanity. You matter, you are significant, you are valuable, you are important. The second myth I would want us to break is that of women being inferior, right? This is another very limiting mindset that has crippled a lot of women for so long, and they keep looking at themselves as inferior versions of humanity. There's this comparison that happens between women and men. They say men are much more superior while women are inferior. That is a myth, that is a lie, that is not true in any way. At best, what you're going to recognize is that both men and women are superior, and they are both unique expressions of God himself. So when you look at yourself as a lady, you'll be making a huge mistake if you're comparing and contrasting your life with the way a man is built and with the way a man is designed. God was intentional when he made men. God was also very intentional when he made women. So it's important for you as a woman not to compare yourself with the build of a man, because like I said, you'll be making a mistake. So just because a man is built the way a man is built, it does not make you a woman inferior. Like I said, we are all unique expressions of God. Both men and both women, we are all unique expressions of God. So you are not inferior. This inferiority complex is part of what makes a lot of people shortchange the ideas that God has given them. They limit themselves. When they think about the ideas, the concept, and everything that God has called them to do, they look at themselves and they start feeling, who am I to even attempt to do this thing? Who am I to even attempt greatness? Who am I to start a business? Who am I to get into this corporation? Who am I to enter for that pitch competition? So I'm here to break that myth that lets you believe that you are inferior, because you are not inferior. The third myth I would want to break is the myth where people have said themselves or women judge things only by emotion. I have a little bit of background in psychology. I have a little bit of background in studying how the mind of a human being works, and then I've also done extensive research on the build of a human being. Both men and women operate by emotion, right? And both men and women also operate by logic, because we hear some people say, oh, women operate only by emotion while men operate only by logic. In order for you to get a wholesome human being, you have to recognize that both men and women, right, judge things and operate by emotion and logic. However, although women are more in tune with their emotion, right, and men are more in tune with the logical part of them, but the beautiful thing about life is that you can be in touch with your emotion and be in touch with the logical part of you. So when people say, oh, women, don't trust them, they judge everything by their emotion, that is not 100% true. I've also recognized that is one of the limiting factors that has crippled a lot of women, because when they come for counseling and when they come for coaching, they are asking me questions like, Maureen, this idea, is it just my mind? Is it my emotion? Is it because I'm all up in my feelings? Is that why I have this idea, right? And because they keep having that thought, they keep assuming that that idea, that beautiful idea that God has given them is not a tangible one, and they don't pursue it, they don't push it, they don't even take necessary steps to kickstart a business. Maybe it's a business that God has given them. Right? So if you look at yourself and you assume that you judge things only by emotion, you're going to be wrong. You have your parts that is linked to your emotion. You also have a brain, right, that also makes room for logic. So you can be logical, you can be very emotional, and you can train yourself to either operate using your emotional side or using your logical part, or you can blend them. These things can be developed. Our minds can be developed, our emotions can be developed. Our minds, the part of us that is in tune with our logic, or that enables us to exercise logic, can also be developed. So that's another myth I want to break this evening, because again, it is a limiting factor to the emergence of damsels, to the emergence of women. Another myth I would want to break is this myth that says damsels are incomplete without men. When they say that as regards collaboration, I understand. We can collaborate with everyone, both men and women. But saying a woman is not complete until she gets married, or until she gets into a relationship with another person before she is complete, that is an incomplete statement. That is not true. That is a myth. God made everybody complete. God made everybody whole. God made everybody to have their own personality. But then God also designed it in such a way that we are very relational. We can help, we can support, we can partner with other people to build things. But every human being, male or female, we are complete as individuals. But then we collaborate, right? We partner with other people to do things that we have to do. So as a woman, if you are only waiting until you get married, or you're waiting until maybe you partner with a male, with a man, before you start doing some of the things that God has called you to do, you are shortchanging yourself, and you are also shortchanging God. It's important for you to learn that life is in stages and life is in seasons. There's a season of your life where you are going to be single and unmarried. At that season of your life, it's important for you to commit to bettering the ideas, the visions, the purposes that God has put into your heart and into your hands. Whether you are in a relationship or not, whether you're married or not, there are certain things that you can do. There are a lot of things you can achieve in your single season. Don't wait until a man comes into the picture before you now assume that, okay, now I am complete. Now let me start emerging. No. Life is in seasons. Life is in phases. Embrace the season of your singleness if you're single, and do the things that God has called you to do. And when the season of marriage comes, embrace the season of marriage and do the things, right, that God has also called you to do, even as an individual and in partnership with your partner when you eventually do get married. That is another myth that is important for you to break it, else it's going to be a limiting mindset or a limitation that's going to stop you from emerging. And then there's another myth I would want to break. I know that people have been breaking it, but I also know that not a lot of persons have been delivered. Not a lot of persons have been freed from this myth. People usually say women or damsels should only be seen and not heard. That is another myth that you have to break if you're going to emerge. You have a mind, you have a brain, you have ideas, you have value, you have solutions to contribute. So you have to give yourself permission to allow those ideas to find expression. You have to be seen, and you also have to be heard. When the opportunity arises for you to share your ideas, your opinions, your views, it's important for you to share them. When the opportunity arises for you to be seen, it's also important for you to make yourself visible. So these are some of the myths I have decided to deal with as we proceed in our conversation. So now that we've dealt with the myths, I want to talk about the what. We are talking about emergence. What is the foundation of emergence? What exactly is emergence supposed to achieve in our life? What does the emergence look like, right? And that brings me to my what. What are we doing on earth? The reason we're saying damsels should emerge is because we have recognized that every human being has a purpose upon the face of the earth, right? And that captures what we do upon the face of the earth. So if you have never gotten an answer to the question around, oh, what is my purpose? Why was I born? Why am I alive? Why am I here? You have to thank Isaac, because Isaac has given us an opportunity for us to answer that question. So number one, why are you here? What are you doing upon the face of the earth as a beautiful damsel? You are here to reflect God's image and God's nature. that when people come to you, people should be able to recognize and identify that you carry the image of God, right? People usually say, oh, I have not seen God, nobody has ever seen God. But one of the things God wants to achieve through your life is that when people meet you, people should be able to identify God in you by how you talk, by how you relate to people, by how you behave, by your character. So you are here to reflect God's image and God's nature. Number 2, you are here to have dominion. Have dominion and excel in everything that you do. In every sector of life that you find yourself in, whatever you're doing, you have to do it and do it well. As you do it, you're going to keep getting better. You're going to gain mastery. And as you get mastery, you're going to arrive at that place where we say, oh, this person has dominion in this industry. If I ask you to mention top 5 people that have exercised dominion in certain industries, I know you'll be able to mention. If I say, oh, if we talk about advocacy in your sector, who a name is going to come up. If we talk about someone that has exercised dominion in fashion, a name is going to come up. If we talk about who has exercised dominion in music, a name is going to come out. Right? So everybody has the ability, everybody has the potential, everybody has the opportunity to dominate in every sector. And dominating does not mean that, oh, you will rise and other people will be below you. No. The way God designed this life, each and every one of us can excel and have dominion, doing the unique things that we have been wired and designed to do, even though other people are excelling. So when you are dominating, when you are in that place of dominion, you are not bringing other people down. You are flourishing, but other people are also flourishing. You are supporting other people to flourish. All of you are kinging together. Do you get? Isaac is here. Isaac is doing what he's doing. Isaac is excelling. Isaac is dominating in his own sector. I am doing what I am doing in my sector. Esther is doing what she's doing in her own sector. We are all dominating in our sector. The more we do it, the more we exercise mastery, the more we get better, the more we reach more people. So dominating does not mean that you excel and other people come down. It means that you do what you do, you excel at what you do, and people should be able to recognize the value that you bring in the sector or in the industry that you are in, right? Another purpose why you are here is to be productive and to be fruitful. Every human being that you see upon the face of the earth is productive or is fruitful. Or let me put it this way, every human being you see upon the face of the earth has the ability or has the potential to be productive and to be fruitful. And the reason they can be productive and fruitful is simply because fruitfulness and productivity are part of God's nature. God is productive, God is fruitful, and when God made you, God also gave you that capability to be fruitful and to be productive. Again, the question of what am I going to produce or what am I going to be fruitful in is unique to individuals. It is for you to ask yourself that question: what are the things I'm good at? What are the things I can do? What are some of the things that make me unique? We are going to talk about that in the next slide. But every human being has the capacity to be fruitful and to be productive. So you have to ask yourself, in what ways am I fruitful? What are those abilities that I have that can give me an opportunity to be productive and fruitful in my life? Because every day you wake up, you're solving problems either for yourself or for someone else. Someone might have asked you a question and you provided an answer for them. That is you being productive. That is you being fruitful. Maybe you work, right? Or maybe you have a business. That is you being productive and being fruitful. Maybe you are in school as a student, and because you are in school, you write exams, you go for classes, you do tests every once in a while. That is you producing knowledge, and that is you producing answers to questions that you are asked. So at every point in time, it's important for you to recognize that you are productive and you are fruitful. And then another reason why you are here upon the face of the earth is to fulfill a personal life agenda. Every human being has a personal life agenda. And someone might ask me, what do you mean by life agenda? If I ask everybody now, by the end of your life, what would you want people to say about you? What would you want people to write about you? When people are writing about your life, what would people say? The answer to that question is what your personal life agenda is all about. So many times what causes tension for people is because we usually start with what I should be doing now. I always encourage that you start by asking yourself this question: by the end of my life, what would I want my life to be about? What would I want people to say about my life? What do I want people to say, oh, I have achieved? And then when you have asked yourself that question, you begin to intentionally build steps to help you from where you are to get to where you have desired your life should be by the time you exit this earth. So the question you should ask yourself is, if the biography of your life was written today, or a movie was written about your life, what are the highlights that will be included? What are the messages that people will say your life is sharing? What messages would your life be sharing with the world? That is how I want you to start thinking about your life as a damsel that is emerging. Because if you're emerging without a plan, it is going to be painful, it is going to be chaotic, it is going to be without vision and without direction. So I'm giving you a plan, I'm giving you a system to develop the journey to your emergence. If a movie was written about your life, if a movie was acted, directed about your life, what are some of those things that you would want to include in that movie? So I would encourage you to sit down and write and provide the answer. You might not have the time to do it on this call, but after this call, I am begging you, sit down and ask yourself this question. And don't limit it. Don't say, oh, I want only one or two things. I want you to be as specific as possible. I want you to be as broad as possible. And when you're creating this design, create it in the different aspects of your life. In your spirituality, how do you want your life to pan out? In your health, how do you want your life to pan out? In your academics or your business, how do you want your life to turn out? In your friendships and your relationships, how do you want your life to turn out? In your finances, how do you want your life to turn out? In your social interactions, recreation, how do you want your life to turn out? These are some of the most important aspects of your life. So ask yourself this question, write it down. Don't just assume that, okay, I know it is in my head, so I'm going to move from my head to take action. Trust me, as I'm talking here, I have my journal, because I might be talking to you, an idea will drop and I'm going to write it down. Do you get? So you should always have a journal, a book around you, or have notes on your phone where you can always document when things come to you. So this question I am asking you now, I'm going to beg you like a sister, right? I'm going to beg you to, you should sit down and ask yourself this question. If a biography was written about you, or if a movie was written about your life, what are the highlights that you would want to be included in that story? Right? That is something you should do, and that captures the what of your emergence. You're here to reflect God's image, and there's a system that enables you do that. Now let's talk about the who. We are talking about emergence of a damsel. Who is this damsel that should emerge? Who are we, and who do we need to be to achieve this work? So when I was talking about this word, I said to reflect God's image, to have dominion, to fulfill a personal life agenda, and to be productive. Who is the kind of person who would be able to achieve this what that I have talked about? That is what the who is basically about. Number one, you. And the reason I say you is because, one, you are made in the image of God. Number two, you are made by God. That means you have the capabilities, you have the wiring, you have the blueprint, you have the design to achieve this what. Because God does not do anything without intention. When God decided that, okay, Esther is going to be born, or Isaac is going to be born, God did not say, okay, let Isaac be born, and then we are going to think about the purpose that Isaac is going to fulfill when he hits planet Earth. That is not how God operates. If you study God, you're going to discover that God always has an intention. God always has a purpose that he wants to fulfill. And then he sends Isaac, or he sends Esther, or he sends Maureen to actually fulfill that purpose or that intention that he has. Do you get? So Who? You are made by God. You are made in God's image. That means that there are certain things that God has. There are certain qualities. There are certain attributes. There are certain characteristics that God embodies that you also embody. You might not see them right now because some of them are not physical. Some of them are internal. Some of them are spiritual. But you can develop it. Let me give you one typical example of what it means for you to be made in God's image. You have creative abilities. God has creative abilities. God can create. You as a person, you can also create. And the reason you can create is because I know that God can create, because God has created things. God created me, for example. Do you get? And I also have the ability to create. I've created a couple of things. For example, this slide I'm using to teach you this evening was created by me. Do you get? So I have the creative ability, but you won't see it in my hand. Like, you won't look at me and say, oh, this person looks like somebody that can create. That's not how it operates. You have to exercise this. You have to develop it. You have to put yourself in certain situations before you'll be able to discover some of these abilities that you have. So you are made in God's image. So you have to discover those attributes that make God God, and then give yourself permission to develop yourself, right, for those things to become a reality. Another thing I would want you to know is that you are made with intention and purpose. I mentioned earlier that God does not do anything without intention and purpose. Trust me that your life was built, your life was designed with intention and purpose. There's a reason you have the body you have. There's a reason you were born in the family you were born. There's a reason you are in the school that you are in. There's a reason you are on this call this evening, because there's always an intentional design behind everything that happens. I'm not one of those persons who believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that there's an intention for everything. There's a purpose for everything. Yes, when it happens, we might not understand the full intention. It might not be very clear. But somewhere along the line, things are going to align. That's why you hear people say, oh, okay, so that's why this thing happened. Because there's an intention and a purpose for everything. Even your existence in this country, if you live in Nigeria, like me, if you live in Nigeria or you're from Nigeria, there's an intention and a purpose that warranted you to be born in this country, that warranted you to be in this place at such a time as this, right? So since God is that intentional, it's also wise for you as a person to get in touch with your intentionality and live out your life with intention and purpose. Everything should not take you by surprise. I hear people say, oh, everything, whatever. I hear people say, whatever will be, will be. That's one statement, one song that I fight as much as possible, because it has limited a lot of people. They just believe that whatever will be, right? There are certain things that will be, but there are certain things that will not be until you rise up with intention and purpose to make those things have existence. Do you get? I like to use practical things. This evening, when I was preparing for this class, I made sure I was intentional to make sure that my slide was properly done. I had done it prior to this day, but I had to be sure that, okay, I didn't make mistakes. I had to be sure that everything was written appropriately. I had to be sure that the things I wanted to make bold, I made them bold. That's because I work with intention, right? So you as a person, you should be able to predict some of the outcomes of your life. You should be able to say, oh, this thing that is happening didn't take me by surprise, right? And the reason it didn't take me by surprise was because I intentionally designed it to happen that way. This conversation we are having now, Isaac intentionally designed it to happen this way. And the reason I'm saying that is because we didn't just all appear here by coincidence. Somebody had an idea that on the 8th of March 2024, at 8 p.m., at 9 p.m., we are going to gather in a Google Meet conversation, and we are going to talk. We are going to invite people. We are going to invite guests. We are going to create a link. We are going to do all of these things, create a flyer just to make this thing happen. So before this this webinar became a reality. There are a lot of things that have happened. All of those things that have happened were done by intention. So as you do your life, as you live your life from today, I want you to recognize that you should do life by intention. You should sit back and ask yourself, what are the things I want to stop doing? What are the things I want to start doing? What are the things that I want to see in my life? If you are going to emerge, if I am going to emerge, if anybody is going to emerge, we have to ask ourselves certain questions. What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? Who do I need to become in order to emerge? These are some things that you have to do, and you have to do them with intentionality and purpose. The next thing that I want to talk about as regards the who is going to achieve that purpose we talked about, is a person that has been born with abilities, is a person that has been born with potentials. Every human being came preloaded with certain abilities. Every human being came with certain things that say, oh, this person was born with this person was born with this. But we are all unique. It's important for you to find your own natural abilities. And then as you journey in life, you begin to discover that your natural abilities alone may not be enough to help you do the things that you want to do. That brings us into skill acquisition, where you now put yourself in a position where you now begin to develop certain skills, because you are living by intention and you want to achieve certain things. Yes, you have an ability. For me, one ability that I have is the creative ability. I was born with the creative gene because I have the image of God, right? But that creative ability that I have, I began to put it into use by exercising myself, by developing myself, by creating this, by creating that. For example, like I said earlier, I like to use practical things to give my examples. This slide, I was not born with the ability, right, to create slides. I was not born with the ability to cook. Do you get? But there was an innate ability, an innate potential that God deposited in me that made it possible for me to be able to do maybe the creating of the slide or cooking. Do you get? I have an innate ability, is the creative ability, but then I had to learn how to use that creative ability to design, to create stuff, to do video editing, to cook, to arrange, to sell. So for you as a person, you have abilities. What are those abilities that you have? Get your pen and your journal. Write those abilities down, because those are the tools that you are going to use on your journey to emergence. These are some of the things that I did to help me do the things that I am doing. Do you get? So write down all of the abilities that you have, and we're going to talk about how you're going to use them. Now let's talk about the how, right? I've talked about the what, I've talked about the who. Now let's talk about the how. On your journey to becoming, there are a couple of things that you need to do in order to become. Number one, you have to identify your uniqueness. I started by saying every human being is unique, male, female. We are all unique expressions of God. So it's important for you who wants to emerge to ask yourself, what are the things that make me unique? And when I say uniqueness, I'm not saying something that makes you different from another person. No, I'm talking about the things that you have, the things that you know, everything that make up your person, not in comparison with another person. Do you get? So identify your uniqueness. What are your abilities? Number one, how were you designed? One of your uniqueness is your design. Look at your body from your head down to your leg. How were you designed? Look at your hand, look at your body. You have a particular body build. That is an intentional design. You have to write down that. You know, I've discovered that many times when we are talking about our uniqueness, the things that we have, the tools and the assets that we have, we don't talk about our body. We don't talk about our mouth. We don't talk about our fingers, our hands. We don't talk about our ears, our eyes. Do you get? But you have to step in today and begin to recognize that, okay, I was designed and built intentionally, and it is for a reason. How are you designed? Write down everything that makes up your person. You have eyes, you have ears, you have fingers, you have hair, anything, write it down. They are all important on your journey to becoming. They are all going to be a part of your unique and beautiful story. The next uniqueness you should identify are your unique experiences. What are some of those experiences that you have had in life that when you think about it, you begin to either laugh or you begin to cry? Everybody has had an experience. That experience is unique. You can tweak it in such a way that it becomes value that would help you help other people, that will help you become that person that is going to emerge. There are certain people that are doing major things today, speaking on major platforms, and when you get there, the only thing you're going to hear them do is talk about their experiences. So you have a bank of experience that you are not using, and the reason you're not using them because you have not identified how those experiences are unique, and you have also not identified how those experiences have shaped you, the kind of person you have become as a result of those experiences, the lessons that you have learned as a result of those experiences, and how those experiences can help other people on their journey to becoming better. So your uniqueness, your experience is something that makes you unique. You also have a knowledge bank. There is so much you know that you are downplaying on, that you are sitting on, that you are disregarding. You need to sit down and write down all of those things that constitute your knowledge. What are the things that you know? Do you know how to drink water? Do you know how to write? I'm going to give you a challenge. By the end of our session this evening, I'm going to ask you to go on YouTube rather and type how to drink water. You are going to see that some people have done YouTube videos showing people how to drink water. But to you, it's okay, you just drink water. But somebody has looked at it and seen that, oh, it is very valuable, and they recorded the video. When you see the video, I want you to pay attention to how many views, how many likes, or maybe how many shares that video or the videos on how to drink water have amassed on YouTube. It is going to shock you. I'm saying this to say, you are downplaying what you know. You are downplaying your knowledge. You are downplaying the books you have read. You are downplaying the content that you have interacted or engaged and interacted with on the internet. You are downplaying the academics, the school that you have gone to. You have knowledge. You just have to create a system that enables you to share that knowledge with people. You also have gifts. You also have skills. The difference between gift and skill is basically one of them is inborn, another one is developed. You have gift, you have skills. Do you get? So these are some of the things that make you unique. On your journey to becoming, on your journey to emerging, you have to identify your uniqueness. Then you also have to find problem to solve. If you want to emerge, your emergence is tied to other human beings. That is something you have to know, and know it today. Your emergence is not selfish. Your emergence has nothing to do with me, myself, and I. Your emergence has to do with how much value, how much problem that you solve for other people. So you have to find problems to solve. And I'm not asking you to find random problems. There are problems that, based on your experience, you already have the solution. There are problems that your skill and your gift has already become a solution that you can provide for other people. So find a problem, right? A customized problem that you can solve for other people. If you don't want to use the uniqueness that you already have, your experiences, your design, then you can go ahead and learn how to solve certain problems. That's why there's space here for developing skill, right? But in order for you to emerge as a damsel, damsels will solve problems. Guys, we are all problem solvers. The next thing you have to do is to preempt the needs of humanity. Have you ever heard people say that there's nothing new under the sun? While I agree partly that there's nothing new under the sun, I also know that there are certain things that are new under the sun. For example, 15 years ago, we did not have any solution called fintech in Nigeria. About 15-20 years ago, there was nothing like fintech. We are all going to the bank, or we are all putting our money inside Kolo, our piggy bank, right? But Some people developed themselves, some people decided to solve human problems, and they preempted the needs of humanity and discovered that human beings would want to do their money a certain way, and that bettered companies like Piggyverse, Carrywise, and some of the other fintech companies that exist. What happened is that many of them preempted the needs of humanity. Sometimes you're not solving a problem. Sometimes they're just looking at humanity and saying, these people, they deserve this kind of idea, they deserve this kind of solution. That is you preempting the needs of humanity. There are certain things that people need that right now they don't know they need those things. So as a creative person, you have to put yourself in that position where you can preempt the needs of other people and then solve those problems, right? Another stage, a very vital stage in your journey to becoming or your journey to emerging, is creating systems or building value channels. I'm going to talk about this in my next slide, but you have to learn how to create systems and build value channels. Value channels are simply tools that you have created, or platforms and opportunities that you have created that can help you serve people, that can help you serve humanity or solve problems, right? Then the next thing you have to do in your process, you have to invest in self-development. I'm so glad that today, International Women's Day theme is invest in yourself and accelerate progress. So in order for you to emerge, you have to keep investing in yourself. One of the things I've come to learn in my journey as a valuable human being is that you will never come to the end of self-development. For every stage you get to, you have to keep developing yourself for the next stage, until you leave. But you have to have a system that enables you consistently develop yourself. So you have to keep investing in development. You have to buy books. You have to register for webinars. You have to attend events. If you're a Christian, you have to go to church because they will teach you. If you're a Muslim, you have to go to the mosque because they're also going to teach you on how to do life. You have to watch YouTube videos. You have to listen to podcasts. You have to invest in self-development, because in order for you to be effective as a damsel who is emerging, who is solving problems, you have to bring a better version of yourself at every point in time. So self-development is key as you journey. Another thing you have to do, another how that you have to do, is when you find these problems that you want to solve, or you preempt the needs of humanity, you have to dream as big as possible. Dream big, and then you can start building gradually to reach that big dream that you have built, or that big dream that you have envisioned. And as you dream big, you have to embrace audacity to go after that vision that God has given you, taking one step at a time, because that is how we emerge. You dream big, you catch a picture, you create systems, and then you begin to journey one person at a time. For example, I have an NGO that enables me cater to survivors of rape and sexual abuse. When that idea came, of course, it was very big, but I did not start with the big idea. I started by reaching out to one person, helping one person, supporting one person, and then as I was helping different people, the big idea that I have began to flourish, began to get bigger, because I saw the big picture and I began to journey gradually to get there. Now, let me talk to you about creating systems, because emerging, right? Your journey to emerging has to be done on systems, right? Systems are basically tools that enable you to serve the value that you have, or the value that you are. I wrote here that every solution provider, every human being, right? Every human being solves problem. Every human being is a solution provider. So every solution provider, every valuable person who is relevant today has a system, or they have a channel through which they are serving their value. Case in point, Isaac. This thing we are doing today, we are not just randomly having a conversation. There's an NGO that caters to this thing. There's an NGO that has become a system, a channel that has enabled Isaac serve this value, right? So every value creator, every valuable person has a channel, has a system that enables them serve their value. If you wish to emerge as a valuable damsel, then you need to identify what I call your own unique channel of expression. I have mine. I have an NGO. I have a school. I have a fashion store. I'm a pastor. The church is one of the channels of expression. Do you get? You can have different channels of expression. All of these things are enabling you serve the value that you are, serve the value that you carry, right? So this channel of expression is the tool through which you serve your unique value and you serve your unique solutions. If you have an idea, you have a solution, it's important for you to have a channel of expression that enables you serve it. That's why people have brands. That's why you register with your business name, or that's why people have companies. That's why people say, oh, this is my company. Every company you see is basically a channel of expression that somebody has created to serve the value that they have. So for you as a person, in order for you to effectively emerge, effectively solve problems, you have to have a system or a channel of expression that enables you serve people. Like I said, we are all service providers, or we are all value adders. It's just that some people are much more intentional than some others. For example, if you want to apply for a grant right now, one of the things that you're going to, one of the requirements to applying for a grant is that your business has to be registered. When they're asking you to register your business, or when they're asking that your business has to be registered, they are simply asking you for your channel of expression, for a system that you have built to solve the problem that you say you want to solve. And many times the companies that win those grants are companies or businesses that have a structure, that have a channel of expression. So I'm begging you this evening, as you're thinking of emerging, you have to create a solid structure, right? One day at a time, create a system that enables you to serve the value that you have. Some examples of channels of expression is basically something like you writing a book, you starting a business, you having an NGO, you becoming a recognized content creator. If you're a content creator, it means that you have a channel, maybe YouTube or Instagram, that enables you to serve your value. Another channel of expression might be that you work under a company. Let's say a company has already been created, somebody has built a company, but then you are a valuable person. You go to work for that company and you're offering your value in a particular department. That is you also being very valuable. You can also speak, you can teach, you can train. These are some examples of channels of expression that a person can have. Having a YouTube channel is a channel of expression because you can sit there and give out the value that you have been wired to give out. There's something I really want to point out this evening for each and every one of us. So when I say you should have channels of expression, it's important for you to recognize that these channels of expression could either be for profit or not for profit. Let me give you an example. If you start a business, your business, the aim and purpose of your business is to make money. That is a channel of expression that is for profit. Do you get? If you start an NGO is majorly a not-for-profit, except your NGO is maybe a social enterprise. The difference between an NGO and a social enterprise is that an NGO does not make money directly by selling anything. They just give out value. They give out value, and then once in a while they get grants. But a social enterprise has a system that enables them maybe sell something in order to do the work that they want to do in the NGO. Do you get? So for example, an NGO or a social enterprise can say, oh, we are solving the problem of world hunger. We want to make sure that everybody in a particular community has food. And in order to solve that problem, they can decide that they're going to be selling t-shirts. And the t-shirt they are going to sell becomes a tool that enables them solve the problem that they want to solve. So that organization that is selling t-shirts, right, becomes a social enterprise because they are solving a problem, but then they are creating an in-house system to fund what they want to do. So you can, as a valuable person who's about to emerge, your business can either be a profit or it can be not for profit. Not for profit is basically doing something that you give out for free and you're not going to charge anybody money. You should ask yourself what you want to do, what value do you want to give out, and how do you want to be rewarded for the value that you are providing, right? So do you want to make money running a business profit, or do you want to have an NGO that is not for profit, that you're not directly making any money because there's no structure and system that brings in consistent inflow except for donations and grants? Do you get? So these are some examples of channels of expression that you can have. By the end of the class, I'm going to ask us to do something. We're going to practicalize this session if we still have time. So this is my last slide. In conclusion, you have to remember that as somebody who is here to emerge as a damsel, the foundation of your emergence is you recognizing that you are a unique expression of God. And this conversation is basically giving you the go ahead. This conversation we're having this evening is begging you, empowering you, and equipping you to let the life of God shine through you. Give your unique expression. Do you get? Let God's light shine through you because you are a unique expression of God. Let him shine his light through your life. You are valuable, you are unique. You are a unique expression of God. So there's nothing stopping you from emerging after this conference, after this webinar, after these conversations, today, tomorrow, and every day that we're going to have this conversation. There's nothing stopping you from emerging. Just start by serving one person at a time. You don't have to solve all of the world's problem. You can start by solving one problem at a time, and then you create a system that enables you replicate that solution that you have created for one person, replicate it for the next person. Do you get? I also want to let you know that your voice matters and you have to use it. When I say your voice, I'm not saying your speaking voice as I'm using, in as much as that is also valuable. I'm saying your contribution, your opinion, your perspective matters. We want to hear it. We want to read them. We want to hear somebody else say something. We have a lot of people who are speaking. But how about you? You also have to speak because you have something to say. Do you get? So recognizing that your voice matters is now important for you to develop your voice, develop your opinion, develop your mind. So when you are giving your opinion or when you're giving your perspectives, people will say, this person is really sound and all of that. So your voice matters, but you have to commit to developing and keep developing yourself. So whenever you use your voice, it is going to benefit somebody that's going to hear you. Then you have to learn how to use challenges as a building block. I know that many times we want to run away from problems. I don't like problems. I don't like problems. But I've come to learn that many times some of the major solutions that you're going to provide for other people is going to be on the basis of the challenges that have come to you, that you have learned how to solve. Then you can use them as building blocks. The reason I run an NGO today for survivors of rape and sexual abuse is because I had a personal experience, right? That was a major challenge. That was a major life experience. But after recognizing that healing is possible for me, I enjoyed healing. I decided to create a system that enables me replicate my healing for other people. And that's how my NGO was born. So you can learn how to use your challenges as building blocks to help and support other people. Of course, in order for you to do that, you have to ask yourself, what is the challenge that I have experienced? What lessons did I learn from it? How did I heal? What did I do in order to ensure that my healing happened? And then how can I make that healing also possible for other people? That is how you use your challenges as a building block. Then you also have to learn how to learn from other people. Learn from other people. You are not an island of knowledge. You do not have all of the knowledge in this world. So you have to commit to learning. If you can see behind me, I have a library. And this, I love to read. And the reason I love to read is because I've come to learn that reading other people's books have a way of shortening my journey. Has a way of just making me go further in life. I don't have to know everything by myself. I can just simply pick up one book, read something in that book, assimilate it, and then learn how to replicate what I've read in the book in my own life. Do you get? So you have to learn from other people, and it has to be a constant practice. It's not just something you do now and then you don't do it again. You have to consistently learn from other people. Then as you create value, you have to amplify your effort. Whenever you solve a problem, especially when you have created a system, you have to amplify your effort and let the world see that your light is shining. You also have to heal from every past experience that have attempted to dim your life. Heal. So when you're creating a solution, when you're emerging, the traumas from yesterday is not limiting your life. Do you get? You also have to learn that your life is a beautiful story that God is telling humanity. So you have to partner with God in order to tell that story. Use your experiences as a bridge to help and support other people on their journey to becoming. So the last thing we are going to do is, I want one person to tell me an idea that you have, and then I will give you tips, one or two tips on how to create a channel of expression or multiple channels of expression using that one idea. Thank you so much for having me.